Now I give you the gifts of 4 children, and yes, God's hand was in it, and He was faithful. Every single one of them, the pregnancies were easy. One birth was a little bit testy, but it was fine. The pregnancies were easy. Our lives with them have not been easy. Over the years, they were not. You can imagine, because we had 4 children in 6 years.
Oh my God.
4 children in 6 years. I was a little bit embarrassed to tell people. It was just awkward. People didn't have 4 children at the time, and certainly didn't have 4 children in 6 years. So,
people didn't go barefooted all the time.
no, they didn't. That was half the problem. So during that time, I decided to tell all of them I could at one time, just to get it over with. So we had a wonderful garden club in the little neighborhood we lived in Atlanta at the time. It was kind of self-contained, so it was small, and we all knew each other. Everybody went to garden club just to socialize, kind of like this. We've enjoyed socializing this morning. Well, I told them all. I can remember what I was wearing that day. It was so awkward. I had on the only dress that fit, and I was 2 months pregnant. You see, after you have 4 of them in 6 years, your muscles just collapse. And as soon as I got pregnant, I could see it, Tommy could see it, so I thought I'd better tell them real quick before anything else happened. So I told them, and they cheered. They clapped and clapped and clapped, and in hindsight, I know why they cheered. Do you have any idea? They were so glad it wasn't them. So they cheered. Now, not all my experiences with having 4 children were that funny. One time I was with 2 women, one of them I knew, the other one I didn't, and it came up, so I said, yes, I'm pregnant with our 4th child. And the lady I didn't know said, well, are you Catholic or stupid? I said, I'm Methodist. And that's all I said. These children came about in one unusual way, and that is, well, let me tell you about their births, and you figure out the unusual way in it. I had wanted to have a child for a while, and all my friends were having babies, and I wasn't. So one day I went to Tommy and I said, all my friends are having babies and I don't have any. So he gave in, because I was close to crying, and he doesn't like crying. He gave in, and that Christmas, it was 1968, that Christmas we went to Monroe, our hometown. We were living in, where were we living then? I can't remember. Gainesville, Florida, yeah. And we went home, we came home for Christmas to Monroe, and we were staying at his mama's house. Her name's Ruby, was Ruby Helms, a beautiful, beautiful woman. And do you remember the thermometer when you were trying to get pregnant? Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, that, I'm looking at them. That's when you begin to ovulate, your temperature goes down, I think it's down briefly on those few days. So we would take our temperature every morning when we got up. Well, I got the thermometer out at Tommy's mother's house, stuck it in my mouth, and walked down the hall to the bathroom, and who did I run into? His mama. Yeah. Now, I don't know whether she knew what the thermometer was all about or not, but it was there, and I was mortified about it. But 9 months later, Grady Thomas Helms III was born. Thanksgiving of 1970, we went back to Monroe. And 9 months later, Ray Weldon Helms was born. Easter of 1973, we went back. Now, we went to Monroe other times too. But these were the pertinent ones. And 9 months later, J. David Helms was born, sitting right here. Easter of 1975, guess what? We went back to Monroe. We should have known better. But 9 months later, Nancy Jane Helms was born. What a joy to get a girl. But we weren't expecting a girl. I didn't have anything pink. We had nothing. I was sure she was going to be a boy. And, well, she's about as tall as Jay, not quite, but she was big, same size they were. Her heartbeat was the same as theirs. So we thought she was going to be a boy, and what a surprise it was. The ladies in the nursing room were bouncing on their feet. Let me see what time it is. Yeah, I have time to tell you this story. They were bouncing like this. They were so excited because I had been in there 3 times the week before in false labor. Now, after 3 births already, wouldn't you know what false labor was? Not me. So we kept going back and going back. Sometimes we took all 3 boys with us. But they knew that I had 3 boys, the nurses did. So they were thrilled for me, and we were thrilled. But I was a little bit confused because I thought, what in the world am I going to do with a girl? I found out you had to put the diapers on differently. Y'all remember that? For a girl. You want to teach her to be a lady, but she grew up just a tomboy, just like I was. But she has blossomed into a lovely young woman. Tommy and I are still alive, and so are all 4 children, and they seem to be doing well. My verse of the Bible that I've held to for long, long years during their growing up years, became Psalm 46, 1, and then 10. 1 says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in time of trouble. That fit the situation. But then, this is the part that mattered. Be still. One version says silence. Be still and know that I am God. And I have clung to that verse over and over and over again. And in God's faithfulness, that verse comes to me at the strangest times. Still does. And it's not really a claiming, as if that verse was for me and me only, but I do embrace that verse. I finally began to see those 4 children as my gift from God, considering the timing. I'm sure y'all figured it out. Considering the timing of their conceptions, much less their births, I realized they were my gift, but something happened that caused me to acknowledge God in it. I was playing bridge. I think it was in Atlanta. I can't remember for sure. I was playing bridge, and there were 3 tables. And when you play bridge, you move around from table to table. Well, we were playing, and I could hear this girl way away from me in the 3rd table over there. And I could hear she was real loud, and she started complaining about her 3-year-old son. And she couldn't believe how awful he was, what a burden he was to her. She wished she'd never had him. And it went on and on and on. And I thought to myself, dear Lord, don't let her come to my table. But she did. She came to my table at the very end of the night. And I had already decided I was not going to say any more than I had to. So, of course, she asked me if I had any children. And my answer was, yes. She said, well, how many do you have? And I said, 4. And she said, are any of them boys? And that was the one I did not want to answer. And I said, yes, 3 of them are. And she said, how old are they? And I said, 4, 6, and 8. And she was crushed. I could see it on her face. I felt it in my heart, and I have never forgotten it, that my children are never, ever, Jay, a burden. Never a burden. They are complete joy, because Hardly, because they came from a faithful God to me and to Tommy as our gifts, as our 4 precious gifts.